Thank you. Mr. Evans, you get it right.
I'll be honored. Let's pray. Father, we thank you, Lord, for the time that we just celebrated as we celebrated the resurrection of our Lord and Savior. We thank you for that. And Father, as we go forward here in this community, we thank you for our community, our county, our state. We thank you for our nation. You've allowed us to have the greatest nation that has ever been. We thank you for allowing us to be a part of it. Father, we just pray as we are here in this community and we see and we make new friends in our community. And I just pray that we grow closer together, closer to you. And Father, as Chester and Linda and even as Keith, as they make decisions for our community, I pray, Lord, that you give them all the knowledge, the wisdom that they need to be able to discern what our county needs to be able to grow and to flourish. We just pray, Lord, you would just continue to lead and guide us in the direction you have us to go. We'll be careful to honor you, praise you, and glorify you because we prayed it in the blessed name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And always thank y'all for coming and y'all. And we'll work as one and be nice to each other and respect their feelings and brothers. So that being said, I say we'll go into
Yeah, I think we want to try maybe the same format as we had last week in the hospitals. Is we'll just go around so everybody gets a chance. We'll do round one and as many rounds as we need. Just try to limit your questions to one or two, not with 20 multiple parts to it. We'll get to everybody. We're going to welcome Mr. Cartwright, our county executive this evening. Thank you for coming. And floor is open. It's your meeting.
Yes, anyone got a question on Mr. Cartwright, or would you want to make
Well, I can say a few words first, if that's okay. You guys forgive me, I'm on the mend from an 9-month Crohn's disease flare-up at 64 years old. I've really struggled here the last 8 or 9 months, but I'm on the mend, thank God. Thank you for that prayer. That means everything. I am your county executive. I have brought a special guest with me tonight. I brought him because we're talking about infrastructure and growth. I have brought Darrell Jones with me tonight. He's been a friend of mine for the last several years. He's a developer. He's in our county on the south end. He built some 300 homes. He has platted. He's done the same in Marion County. He owns the whiskey company down there in Marion County, on down the marina, different things. He's out of Atlanta, Georgia, in our area for how long, Darrell?
About 12 years.
About 12 years. And Darrell's a splendid family man with a wonderful wife and daughters, and we welcome you here, even though I appreciate you driving for me, Chester. I told this earlier, I ate a few. Darrell's going to buy me supper, so those York peppermint patties, I appreciate you. But, thank you for having me here, Chester and Linda. We appreciate it. A couple of things, as a lot of you guys don't know, I had a good conversation with Mr. Whistler earlier today, and Terry, I enjoyed meeting you today and sharing your thoughts and concerns and that sort of thing. So, iron sharpens iron, and we as elected officials need that. And I took this job knowing that was part of it. I told Mr. Terry today, I'm the only one between you and I getting paid here, so we'll continue on that quest. But my role as county executive, my charge, so to speak, is to lead the county in a direction that most benefits the county's future. The county executive is the CEO and the CFO of the county. We are a general law county, which means we don't have a consolidated accounting entity that governs. So, which I wish I did, I could step away and get my picture made like the city mayor does a lot of times, but that's not really the either. County executive is charged with the care and custody of all county property, equipment included. That's at the schools and at the highway department. So my charge is to control all contracts, accounting, papers, and instruments of the office. I'm charged with the audit of all claims for money against the county. And I'm charged and shall implement the will of the people through the county legislative body, these splendid commissioners that you have out here. So that's a broad depiction of what I basically do. We're here tonight to talk about some growth that is happening right here. And I know District 6 in Sequatchie County, because of Darrell Jones over there primarily, is the fastest growing district in a county outside the city of Dunlap. Darrell, he gets cranked up with 400 homes in District 6. That will take over that charge. But folks, we would be kidding ourselves if we didn't think other Darrell Joneses are coming to this place. You know, with the internet, 111, the scenic beauty of where we live, where you live, is drawing these folks to you. And we are still in Appalachia, but there's a lot of money that has moved in here. People I know complain all the time. I hear it daily. My taxes, well, it's not really the rate, it's the valuation of the property that's going up, and that's caused. I had some folks from Connecticut. I didn't know my property was worth this much, Chester, but they came in and paid $40,000 an acre. They're half a mile from me for property. I wouldn't give you $4,000 an acre for 10 years ago. But they did it, about 10 acres. Well, what's that going to do? It's going to drop the price for me up. Now, the commission, we're going to work together. I'm certainly, you've got good commissioners. Chester, born and raised here, he knows the history, he knows the people. You've got Linda, and all of you know her. She's very astute and educated, experienced. She brings a lot to the table. So we're going to work with these folks in growing our county in a positive way, and I look forward to working with both these folks. Now, a lot of you guys don't know, you probably do know, but I do not vote the county executive. I can break a tie as chairman of the commission. Now, anytime any of these commissioners want to step up and be chairman, I'm all in. So, but nobody's going to grab on the gavel as of yet. But now, if I was not chairman, I could veto any decision they made. Now, in the 15 years I've been in, I've never broken a tie, and I've never vetoed any legislative thing they've passed. So that's because we work through committee on most things. Terry has said most things. So we'll continue to do that and do a better job of that as well. So, Alan Chronolocker was going to be here tonight, and I don't see him yet. He may drag in just a moment. So we know he's with Northwest Utility District. I spoke to him yesterday. He had a big job he was going to try to do, so he may blow in here just shortly. And I know he's been out here before. Eric invited him out. So, I think the way to do Chester is just as you guys have the agenda set with, just go around and I'll do my best. I'll work for you. So, don't work for Chester. But we work together well at times, and sometimes maybe we don't work so well together. But I'll entertain any questions from you guys.
I gather June 30th is the end of the local fiscal year.
Correct.
And that the budget must be in place by then?
Well, statutorily, it's not due till the 31st day of August.
Okay.
But the comptroller wishes us every year to get it completed by June 30th. If we see we can do that, fine. If we can't, we will.
Observe it anyway.
Correct.
Okay. In line with, we met earlier, and I expressed some of my concern that, as an example, the emergency services contract, to my mind, was fairly deficient in terms of opportunity for the public to engage in it early, at a time that I think would have benefited the outcome in terms of a more, a less heated, less emotional, less divisive conclusion to that whole debate. Along apropos that discussion, the budget is probably 10 times more significant than that issue. And I was wondering what the plan is for early and informed outreach to the community regarding the priorities that are being formulated now, I presume, in the budget committee. Will there be publication of their agendas? Will there be the provision of draft budget documents for review by the population and opportunities for comment and prioritization? Can that commitment be made?
Well, typically how it works, Terry, is we have a retreat with all the commissioners. So throughout the year, these commissioners have their wish list, so to speak, or priority list. We come together typically every February, which we did this past February 25. And we have, and I brought that list with me on the prioritization that they have come up with. And we take that into account during budget meetings. Now, we publish a budget schedule each year that tells every time the budget committee meets. It's in the paper this past weekend. It should be on the website. But we take no action. This is simply review. So anybody's welcome to come at all the meetings. And you actually, if you want to comment, you need to. The citizenry needs to rise up and speak through your commission. As we discussed earlier, are a republic. If we can hold it, and you speak to the commissioners. But the process has been, and just a little history, in 2010 when I came in, our fund balance was less than $20,000 from the county. It's about $3.5 million now. We've gotten the debt down to close to $2 million on the jail. We can pay that off, but it's at about 2%. So we're leaving that alone because our money interest income is about 4.5%. So that's something we talk about each year during budget time, what they want to do and how they want to do it. Now, our budget chair, what I typically do is I get kind of all the elected officials and department heads. They turn in their budget. The sheriff turned his in several weeks ago. I like to get his knocked out first because out of the general budget, which is about $11 million, his is about a third of that, about $4 million. So we'd like to get that out of the way first. I will say that I'm pleased with his budget. We've had some hard talks and some tough stuff to present. He actually will be presenting Monday night. Now again, there's no action taken. This is back and forth. Every elected official, department head should be at this meeting. They've been invited to be there because they can answer the questions directly. Now I hand the budget off. I crunch the numbers on what I see and don't know the growth numbers yet. That'll come closer to June 1st. But what we'll do is review their wish list these first couple of meetings. We meet Monday night and we'll meet the following Monday night. And typically those meetings last about 2.5 hours. So that's how it's done. The budgeting process has worked over the years. We are sound fiscally in the county of Sequatchie, and we've worked hard to get it there over the years. And I know, you know, if you come into small town America that you have here, and you're not from here, because when I went in 2010, I was angry about having to pay rollback taxes. A lot of them. I did something similar to Darrell there, on a smaller scale. But I went in there and stood on the county executive's desk thinking I knew everything. Well, 2 or 3 years into the job, I don't know everything. Travis would see him come in. But we work efficiently and hard at saving the taxpayers what money we can. As far as, you know, we spoke earlier today, you just engaged with the commission as you want to be. I will say that. And we talked about, we do lack in some public notifications and things like that. But I've got, and I'll be transparent a bit about this, and these guys will attest, I've got 4 to 5 commissioners that would like to be engaged on a daily basis. Now, every commissioner is not like that, but their respective districts elected, you know, year after year, it's every 4-year term, they're elected. They represent, and Chapel Hill is that's District 5. They vote more than any district. They vote over 50% of the registered voters. You know, they're active. And after they've had 2 long-term commissions there, but now Margaret's a little bit different. I talk to him every other day. But now Paul Powell, he's probably one of the most popular, so to speak, commissioner. He's plain spoken. If you know Paul, he's country than cornbread. And he's been around a long time, and he's principled and sound in his thinking. So I think we're blessed with a commission that does the will of the people.
Could you answer this then? When does an actionable package arrive? When is the first time you would expect an action item to hit the budget committee's purview?
The process works like this. I don't have the schedule with me, Chester, but I'm going to have to. Let's look at it. But this is the schedule. With 10 days notice, we can change, and that's plenty of time. But, on June the 9th, we present the 2025-2026 budget to the full commission. Now, we publicize a 3-column. Last year's, the year before last expenditures, last year's expenditures, and this proposed year's expenditures in the Tribune. And we put it online so people can view the differences and how the costs have escalated or de-escalated in some cases. So we publish that, and we wait 10 days, and we have one schedule here. That's on 6/9, and on 6/30, which is actually more than 10 days, but that's okay. The 24-25 year-end amendment housekeeping, right up until the last day, see, people are buying gas and diesel and things like that, and we have to, the budget runs over in certain areas. We have to close that year out balanced. We're a balanced budget state, we're a balanced budget county. So that's by law. We're not like the federal government or the state of California. I'm not going to pick on Lord on, but we have to balance by law the county books. So we do some housekeeping. Then the full commission votes to adopt the in this case, the 25-26 budget. So that's out there for a couple of weeks for review, scrutiny, and again, these commissioners, that's what they're going to be doing is beginning Monday night is scrutinizing this budget. Now, I will tell you, we've got a good budget, and we've had one for several years. We tend to, our thought is to budget as accurately as we can, but I know there's several business people here, and know that a budget is the best guess estimate. It's an educated guess on what expenditures could be. We do our best to hold to that. And I can speak for every elected official and every department head. Everyone wants to do a good job. And they realize they work for the people of of Sequatchie County, and it's my belief that they do their very best, especially during budget season.
So the budget committee does not actually formulate a resolution of adoption or hold hearings regarding their draft recommendation to the full commission?
Yes, the budget committee does that through appropriations resolution. That is correct.
So that would be noticed
Absolutely.
as a public meeting, and the material that they will be considering
Yes.
available to the public in advance of the meeting.
That's correct. And all these meetings that we have are open to the public. Now, there are work sessions, especially during the budget season, but every meeting we have, except going into executive session, as we did the other night, when we heard later with our attorney, but every meeting is open to the public.
So that schedule is, I can publish that on the website.
Sure.
I think what they're asking is, or I think in general, would be if they wanted to participate and understand this 60-page plus documenting how the sausage is made, then it's best that they actually start Monday, which is really when the committee really starts looking
Yeah,
at it.
because the elected officials will be there. They'll hear the questions from the commission. And you know, during an informal meeting, if somebody from the audience is unclear, they can wait till after the meeting and speak with the commissioners, which I would suggest. But we do have people that want to be engaged, and we entertain that. But, you know, so the process goes pretty fluidly. We don't, you know, and I don't know if you guys have heard my deal, but most local governments work like this. The school makes up about 38% of our budget. The sheriff makes up about 35%. Sanitation makes up about 15%. Now that's 88% of the budget. Now the other 12%, the library, the departments, the trustee's office, the assessor's office, the register of deeds, circuit court clerk, the county mayor's office, the parks, the fire departments, the nonprofits that we donate to, that's all the 12% left, and I've left off several things off of that. But in most small rural communities, that's the percentage breakdown.
Except highway.
The highway is separate, that is correct. They, of course, they don't get any money. We set up last year an emergency fund to help support them, and that's in the budget again this year.
For snow, yeah.
For snow, and they're not, they don't receive any tax, property tax money. They're not given an allocation to the penny, but they particularly live off the gas tax, and it's tough some years for our highways and our roads. But we're working with the highway department. We've created, and Linda spearheaded some regulations relative to developers and some right-of-way regs that we've adopted, and we appreciate that good work because that costs money when things are torn up without anyone to go back to and say, hey, you owe us this road. So we hold to the standard, and Eric will be over that and making sure everybody complies with that.
So I think on that topic, I know there's people here that will have questions that have to do with roads. We can come back. So anybody want to engage on that topic?
Roads?
Roads.
I will. Has anybody got any question? Chester, I think I understand that, just heard a rumor maybe that they were going to go ahead and pave our winter rock road here, so. But I didn't know. So.
Well, I think Eric, at the last meeting or the other meeting or something, he gave us a firm word that the winter rock road would be the first road paved when they started making asphalt. I wish it was been your standard to confirm what I said he was right or wrong, but that was what we had on the meeting, and I know it's good to hear what he said. But it's, I don't know whether it's a problem or what happened, but that'd be something he'd probably back on that. Maybe he'll show up there.
No, I don't think he's coming. I spoke to him earlier. Window Rock Road is certainly on our list. He was out here last week, the better part of most of the morning, doing some measuring to do some pre-paving work, some stability build up with lighting several places in the road. This is just from conversation I had with Eric earlier today, because I knew I was coming out tonight and, you know, the roads would be brought up. So that is, you know, with the tree toppers and the money, the capital investment that taxpayers have spent out on that road is substantial, so we want to give money back. Now, there's money in the budget for the highway department, whether it be an emergency or, and that's for these guys to chew up and discern how much to give Eric, and that's in I've got it in a transfer outline just in case. And we've always entertained that if we've got 9 districts, that each district is allocated through the highway department a allotted amount of money for certain roads that state aid can't help Eric with, or the gas tax money doesn't work better. So we are to a point in our county where we can afford to do things like that without raising taxes. Growth has really driven the budget over the last several years, and it will continue to do that in the future. Now, I brought Derek, and I know he's been through all this, and I stated this earlier. He's got a set of guidelines and rules prior to developing. He's the type of developer that'll cross every T and dot every I. I've seen it happen over the last 4 or 5 years down in Marion County. When he moved into our county, they had a little hiccup there in the city, but Darrell brought the rule book in, and they had to live what the rule book said. They created the rule book. So, you know, going forward, we're going to have a rule book, and we need to make sure things are.
I think we need to address this. This is what we had agreed, this is, and y'all are familiar with this because we've been talking about this several meetings. This is the agreement that we had with the prioritized roads that were going to happen in fiscal 24-25, before the end of June. And this is what Eric committed to. We talked about it a couple meetings ago, but we're not seeing this really play out. You know, with the schedule. We had asked for a schedule. This is what we got, which is really, this is on Henson Gap, and it's basically, you know, after the water project finished on this side, we walked the road a couple weeks ago, but it's going to take 4 weeks to get the letter from the lawyer to the water company. And then at week 5, and this was written 2 weeks ago, at week 5 we'll get some response from the water company. But in the interim, you know, we don't, that's not a plan. It's been our issue the whole time. And then, you know, without a plan, it gets keep pushed to the right. So we're not seeing action up here in District 1 on, you know, the roads actually, you know, in a real more expedient way from what, you know, what has been discussed since October actually is when we started this discussion and made this prioritized list. And it's even worse now because of, you know, the water project and then the SVEC substation, that, you know, the impact that that's had. This list was done before then, and now, you know, there are several other issues, as you know, with the roads with those 2 companies.
Well, I would certainly like to see those 2 projects wrapped up before we spend a lot of money out here on improving roads. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, we fix something and they're not through with the project, and we still have.
Well, we were told that the first project's done for the water company, this lower end here, and that could be started. Now, the other ones are still laying back. They're up to T-Pro right now, a few hundred more yards. But, you know, that, we're not seeing action, you know, other than walking the road, sending a letter, and, you know, and then also with the rock, there's, you know, other than measuring, there hasn't really been any work that's been started. That's really the issue that the residents have up here.
Well, I don't know what's in this budget for this year. I don't know the availability of funds. I brought a balance sheet I pulled this morning. Let's just see what the highway department has available. Of course, they have to have some of these funds.
Set money aside for this, so that.
Was that this year, or this is coming in the fiscal year 25-26? Okay.
24-25.
So, and I know we are a month into spring. I mean, spring was
Right.
March 21st or whatever. So I know a lot of comments have been made. I've gotten a phone call or two, Keith. You said, Eric, you were out here and y'all were going to start this in the spring. Well, we've been a little busy. I mean, you know, I know everybody has, but that's no excuse. But again, we need sharpened up, and we'll listen. But let me see what the highway department. Chester, you may have to read this, but I'll put my wife's glasses up.
I also think that some of this, the road that this gentleman is talking about is right. Sir, I think some of the road that you're concerned about is private too, right? It's not.
Yes, right. But it's for, if we go in here,
I'm just trying to clarify here,
Yeah.
it's not on that list. You got it.
it's not, that's what it is.
Let's address one thing at a time. Let's let Mr. Cartwright talk, and, you know, you were gonna explain that with his budget, and then I know there's gonna be follow-on.
Well, I do not have this document. I have seen this. And, you know, Eric, I don't know, he's out here periodically, is he not? Has he been out since October?
Yes, I saw him about 2 weeks ago.
I mean, out here.
To me, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Not since October. He was out there.
We were meeting with him back in October.
So,
Initially about the snow removal issue, which we got done, and that money was set aside. And then this conversation actually started in October also. And about the same time, because this was the integrated road plan, is what this is. And this was part of it. This was what he committed to for District 1. And then we had the mineral severance tax, and then we had the road right-of-way, which was part of it.
let me ask you this, Commissioner Lewandowski, did he give a date to keep time stamping?
That's the problem. We don't have a schedule, which to us would indicate a commitment. Understand that, you know, it rains and all that other kind of stuff, but we don't have a schedule of when, you know, other than this was the only thing that we got in the last couple of weeks, which really doesn't show any work other than writing a document and sending it to the water company.
To keep fresh on my mind, would you email this again to me, both
Okay,
these documents, so I'll have those in the morning? A lot of times he shows up at our Friday meetings, and he may or may not be there in the morning, so I will try to pin him down on a.
And we know he's resurfacing, you know, elsewhere in other districts. So that's why I think the rub is. People go down to Walmart and they see his trucks out there, and nothing's happening up here on the mountain. Nothing physically is happening.
Well, I don't know about all that.
So anyway, I'm just expressing in a calm way the frustration that we have up here. And these folks have been really good about kind of holding back, so.
Could I add one thing about the road thing? One thing that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way on this mountain recently, and I spoke to Eric about it, he was here, it wouldn't bother me because I called him, Eric did it to me. There's a road right up here off of Window Rock called Forest Knoll. It was a dirt road. Went like for a mile and a half. There's probably 3 houses on it. He went up there and made a highway out of that place. Mile and a half, tarred and chipped the whole thing, and there's 3 houses on it. And there's other people, other roads on this mountain that is way more populated than that.
Mr. Gravitt, when was that done?
That's been done in the last,
Just in the last
last couple?
Last night.
Couple
months.
I
Came out here and done that, went back off the mountain, and I called him up and told him, I said, Eric, a lot of people upset because he came out here and paved the road, or hard and chipped the road that hardly nobody lives on. There's probably days that nobody even drives on that road. And then pull back off the mountain and it just kind of gnaws at you. So there is a lot of people frustrated. Of course, the 51 years I've lived out here, we've always been treated like the very stepchildren. Anyway, that's just one frustration.
What's the tell you? There's a show, a lawsuit thing about that, about when they put the water line, I think Eric or one was talking about, if they get too close to the road and you have to try to do something about the road falling off before they pave it.
Now, was that in this district or was that in the field?
No, that's here, that's Northwest. It's not a lawsuit. It's to, document, like, basically, what Eric does is he documents, any damage that was caused by them, which, they've done something with the strips and all, and they've had to come back and fill those a couple times. But this is more about the edges now, that he walked part of the road, the part that's already done out here, not the T-Pro, the second part of the project. And right now, he's noticed no damage, is what he told us. And he wants to wait another couple of weeks. He's gonna, inspect the road again and then send a letter to them with any repairs that need to be made. So he's corresponding with them in writing, which, instead of just verbally.
Eventually, that was the hold up on paving the road out here, was they wanted to get that done, and they said they could get the pavement.
So that's what this is here, but it's 5 weeks just to get a letter sent and a reply back. And on Lewis Chapel, that happened in 24, 48 hours when it.
Now, if I can hack this, I'll just take this.
Now, for clarification, is it end of 25, June 30, or is it August 31st? How long does he have before he's late?
June 30th.
June 30th, okay.
Can I just add something? I bought land up here 2 years ago because I was told by a bunch of neighbors that they are going to be paving Window Rock Road. And I was like, okay, great, because I'm going to build a real nice house up here. And it'd be nice if that was paved by the time the house got done. It took us 2 years, the house has been done now, just a few months. But I kind of parrot what Linda's saying. How about somebody make a commitment and put it on paper with some dates? You gave me a real clear, confident statement, but I think she and most of the people on Window Rock Road would finally like to see something on paper that says we are committed to paving Window Rock Road by this date. Because otherwise, it's been 2 years. I heard everyone I've talked to is really frustrated because they keep hearing it's going to get done, but they don't see anything happening to get it done. And if there's something happening that's going to get it done, how hard is that to put on paper?
Isn't what that is?
Yeah.
Isn't that a written commitment?
There's no date, there's no date.
There's
End of
it's not a work
25.
plan.
End of 25.
That's
right?
Something with real dates that we'll count on. So if it doesn't happen on the date, we've got an explanation to back it up. It was the weather. Okay, great. So you need 2 more weeks?
Well, all of us know in this room that if it's not on paper in the coming month or two, you can bet in August 26th it'll be on paper on the ballot. Well, the people still run, our government. So people vote.
So they're on the ballot coming up when?
We all are.
Yeah. And I think I hear a pretty clear sense of urgency from her. I don't hear anything coming from you. But I hear her saying very clearly she wants to get it done, and she's hearing a lot of people complaining about it. So is it possible for her to get with you and with Eric and quit talking about it, and just put a document on paper that says by the state, we're going to have it done on less weather, so that I'll be excited about voting for her?
Absolutely, yes.
I think that's something that everyone would like to see.
And let me say this, Chester is with Linda, I can tell you, they're a good team, so I know.
He may be, but I'd like to see it on paper.
So we have talked to Eric,
I hear that.
Keith has heard this more than probably almost every week for the last several months as a priority up here. We're just trying to get a plan.
Yeah.
Right, with a time schedule on it. And that, it's just not there, because that was agreed to last year, late last year. Those are just priorities, it's not a plan in that integrated road plan and specific roads up here. Which are, Henson Gap is a main road, it's a primary road in the road list.
So here's something that I tell a lot of my clients. What's the difference between a dream and a goal? A dream is something you just talk about. A goal is something you put on paper. What's the difference between a goal and a success? It's dates.
Plan.
And real timely thing.
Anything else on roads?
Well, I don't think we covered this private road.
Okay.
So this gentleman's problem was the gravel, there were dirt trucks coming out of the development corner up onto the private road. And I don't think that that's in the road department, is it? Am I misunderstanding the?
This got nothing to do with what I'm talking about on my part of the road. Forgive me for interrupting you. I'm just-
No, I'm just.
You can speak about it.
Yeah.
Your title.
Yeah, that's private, it has nothing to do with Winter Rock Road. It stopped right there, it's on my property, so.
Right, so who's gonna take care of that, Keith? Because he's asking that question.
The county owns property just past that. We have right of way into that property. We will take care of that road and maintain that road.
Okay,
That is because we have the right of way through there.
right. So I think he's looking for dates too.
Yeah, well, I don't know, I've talked to, privately with him and in public with him. We're gonna take care of that hopefully this spring. I mean, we've got to grade that road. I'm still waiting on that. I spoke to Eric a couple of weeks ago. I need to grade that church that we have right in there, but that's setting a little more, and then if he comes in there, the pack or whatever he's gonna do, we plan on fixing that area right there where we built that beautiful home. So, now, let me say about these guys. They saved us a lot of money by running, I don't know what that cost you to put all those utilities back there, but it was a tidy sum. I know I used to do this, and Darryl does it on a daily basis, so we appreciate it.
I guess the other issue is that the road department, that's not a county, the county road is 1.8 miles from the time you get to Henson Gap off. That's the only thing that's on the road list. You're way beyond that. There's a process that it takes a year, they have to get everybody's signature, and then it goes in front of the commission, or actually road committee, and then to the commission, and then it takes a year before that road gets accepted. So I guess I'm listening to this and I'm hearing, we're going to do it, but that process is going to take, at least a year before that road gets accepted.
Every January, but the caveat there is that we own the property and actually the right of way, we have that right of way access that we've created. So
To the tower.
To the tower. Well, it's almost, we've got the lot ready at any time, so we will, that's a different issue. But,
So in other words, you have right-of-way access across private property
Yes.
to county property
correct.
that's been damaged as a function of improving the county property. Does your timeline and process still apply to damages to private property that the county owns easily across?
But the conversations I've had, and two, I don't know that we have to wait, for that particular road to get fixed. We bring it through the county legislative body. I think we can, if it goes through that process, through committee, through that process, even mid-season, I think we'd be able to spend monies on that specific road. And that's where I'm coming from.
Do we have insurance for the county to pay when we tear up some private property? Do we have insurance we can fall back on?
Well, we really don't. We would be, I think at that point, self-insured. We've got Tennessee Risk Management. They're the old pool in the state of Tennessee. I've never saw, and I've gone back 50 years anyway, in some of the records, I've never seen a claim for a road. It's typically just that we step up and we're self-insured at that point.
Linda, I have a follow-up question. You kept mentioning Henson Gap Road. Which side? Are you referring to the side of the snake that goes down the back, down the dump?
No, that's not it.
Yeah.
Is that there wasn't enough money that we had for that. So Eric is trying to submit, a grant for that for next fiscal year. We're talking like from the sand pit up to almost where they're almost finished that second project. That's the first part. And then all the way to the county line once they get that done. So really all Henson Gap Road, except, we stopped at the stand pit is what we had been discussing.
Nice.
With my question is over, Ellen, a contractor goes in with a vehicle to heavy equipment and messes up the road, should they be bodied and insured to cover the damage?
What, you're speaking of Hamilton, little George Hamilton, he is going to partner with Eric. I've talked to little George. Anyway, if you met him, you realize that's not really little George, but he,
Now, are you talking about a particular part of the road right now? Are you talking about where they did this, they're doing the substation, the road around that, or what are you talking about?
no,
As an example.
actually all of Winter Rock. He's going to come in and do a lot of the building up, volunteer his equipment to help repair that road. So I don't know how that's going to work, but he is going to partner with our highway department to help get that back together. So I hope he made enough off TVA to be able to do that.
So let's say the taxpayers holding the liability for the materials to be put on it.
I don't know the arrangement he's made with Eric, but little George is quite capable of pulling his weight. I don't know the county taxpayers are through the gas tax again. That's a tax. There's money allocated. Whether or not that particular road is damaged at some point, we're going to spend tax money on Winter Rock Road. It's a vital road with the tree toppers and the tourism and all that. That road has to be kept in good shape and repaved candidly. Speaking with Eric, and this is off the cuff, and I can't write this down. This is just his conversation. That he's looking at $25,000–$30,000 to get it back to tar and chip that. But he says for $100,000, it can be fixed right and fixed for good. So I would encourage the commission, if we're going to help our highway department with whatever means, to keep that number in mind. So that road's vital to our tourism industry, even with the distillery and all that we've got here. We've got to keep this place looking sharp. That's because that money comes to the county and reallocated to certain districts. So
Do we have an idea of how many tourists come to Treetop and to the Moonlighting Park out there on an annual basis?
I don't know that answer tonight. I'm sure there's statistics in the development district I could get. But, that's a good question.
And I know you referenced the planning retreat and the top priority that the commissioners came up with, a comprehensive traffic study. I think that's related to Eric's question. We talked about this, will we be included in that study since we have the story, the tree toppers?
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions?
I would have one question. The developer you were referring to that's here, are you developing up here in this district?
No, sir.
I'm sorry?
Not in this district.
Okay, I'm just curious. None of my business, really just curious.
And two, I want to give Darrell a little bit of time. This is a splendid businessman, and I want him to speak on growth. He's forgotten more than I'll ever know about growing certain areas. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that these trucks were going on private land past Jerry's house to county land. What is that county land being developed for?
The site, it's for a communications tower.
So we are getting a tower from it.
But that's the plan. That's why we bought the property.
For a tower for what kind of communication?
Emergency services.
Yeah, for the county's communications.
Or, there could be, depending on how that's acquired, there could be internet that's expanded up here also.
Cell tower, hopefully. I think it would be financially advantageous for the county to involve these private entities like cell services and internet service stuff on that tower and to defray the cost. I saw a lot of counties putting internet and up on water towers in small districts in back east in New Jersey and stuff, because that was the tallest stuff they had in the community, and they got nothing back from those people. So I hope that it's a net positive for the county.
I think those partnerships are key in the success of the county going forward. Public-private partnerships, I really believe in. Like a developer like Darrell here coming in is really upfront, introducing impact fees, things like that that are done all over the place. Middle Tennessee primarily, I've done some developing in that area, down in the Atlanta area. Impact fees are a big thing over in Wilson County, in the Mount Juliet, Lebanon area. I think that's on the shoulders of the developer. But again, as long as they know those fees, impact fees are up front, they can make a decision whether they will still develop here and or not. So,
Linda, could I just say one more thing on the tower? She brought something back to mind to me that you and I talked about before. Long time ago, far away in another state, I was helping manage a power plant. Worked for the site vice president, and we did just what she suggested. We had to build a tower for weather data for the power plant. It was required. And it needed to be updated. And we thought, well, hey, what can we do for the community? So we asked the local cell provider, and it was Verizon in that state. And we said, hey, we'll give you access to our tower. If you'll put, because the power plant was in a rural area, just like this. And they said, sure, we'll do it. Right? And so it was an easy thing that we could do to help the community. And this might be an opportunity, just like she says, where you could, offer access to the tower for cell phone equipment. It'd be a win-win situation.
Good, well, we were hoping for a grant.
But to be honest with the cell phone people, we just offered it up, and it might be that something like that could be done where, the cell phone service could be improved for no cost.
good point. Good point taken.
Can I get my couple of questions out of the way? One of them's going to be really short for me. And this question is for Mr. Cartwright. I got a word I want to give you. And I'd like to know if you have heard in any way, shape, form, or fashion, this word being connected with District 1. Landfill.
Only from Chester, he asked me the same question.
What was the word?
I actually read it around. So, no, I mean, it's a process. I talked to Development District, it takes TDEC and Development District involved in this, and the 10 mayors, which Mayor Cartwright is, on the board, to basically agree to do this. And the process starts with a public hearing, and then it usually takes like up to a year, because there's a lot of hoops that have to jump through. That's just to get it approved. So they have not heard anything to date
I'm
about
on
this.
record as a no.
So are you
I'm on record as a no.
Just to be fair, I found, are you asking, is somebody proposing putting a garbage dump in a landfill?
That's rumors.
We wanted to run it to ground, so I think that.
Yeah, run it in the ground and roll over.
Second question. Do we subsidize Puckett?
Puckett is a private company. We pay them $215,000 a year. Years ago in 2012, we had our own ambulance service. Our budget was almost $900,000 a year. I was in court on a monthly basis, dropping somebody, being sued, this and that. We charged off $3.1 million in uncollected accounts receivables. Those were lean years, so the comptroller came to us and said, if you don't raise taxes a dollar, not so many cents, we're going to make you do it. So you need to find a way to cut expenses. We went out looking to privatize that service. At the time, we contacted Erlanger. They had just was moving in. They used Puckett in the Chattanooga area. We went down to Hostel, myself and Tommy Johnson, to meet with Steve Puckett and Shane Garrison. We made a deal with them. The commission passed the contract, $150,000 a year fixed. They assumed all liability. Not been to court since we signed them. We've not had any uncollected funds because there are none. They are now, since 2013, I think that's when they came out, 2014. They've been here since then. In those 10 years, they're now at $215,000 fixed.
They have got offices in several different places. I'm wondering why they can't stand on their own 2 feet. I've been on the internet looking at their internet. It says they service 12 counties in Georgia and Southeast Tennessee. They serve more than 52,000 patients annually. They got 340 employees, 66 emergency vehicles. Also, our buddy Chris from Cartwright, there he is in the picture. When Cartwright opened that emergency room down in Saudi Daisy, Puckett went and got a storefront down the street to service them, and they also had a big write-up about that. Talking about the company provides 911 emergency service throughout all those counties in Georgia and Tennessee, and they are the nation's second largest private medical transportation service. That's according to them. Now, I talked to Chris about, did he know anybody else that subsidizes Puckett? He said he did not. He said Park Ridge pays Puckett if they transport a patient from the hospital there to another hospital, they pay. If they transport a patient to a nursing home, Park Ridge pays them for that service. They do not supplement their income. They do, no one else that I know of gives them a space for free. So since we, and thank God, this emergency room thing is behind us, I know you guys have had it over with. I'm looking at the next thing that needs some attention is Puckett.
Puckett, I probably receive less complaints about them than any other entity the county is. I'll just tell you straight up facts. Gary County, Dade County, Puckett served, they pay them, both those guys pay more than we do to Puckett. They run those now. Bledsoe County does their own ambulance service. Budget about $600-something thousand. They're responsible for the liability and other things. That's their choice to do that. Grundy County, the same way. Their budget. But this fixed cost, I would say respectively, Mr. Ed, that you would, the commission, they can do it will, but you would have a hard time getting 2 commissioners to try to, I would say 2 out of the 18 to try to move Puckett out here.
Well, I'm not saying move them out of county. I'm saying let them stand on
The
their own feet.
only county I'm aware of that don't pay anything because of the demand is McMinn County. Priority, Puckett several years ago, 3 or 4, sold out to Priority, who is huge. And their home base in Tennessee is Knoxville. They have acquired over a 5-year stagger Puckett. So the Puckett folks and leadership is still in place. Shane Garrison, Steve Puckett's still alive. But that was Puckett, Tennessee. They're still Puckett. I think they call it Puckett Atlanta. They service grade in the hospitals in that area. That's where they came from. But, their contract, we're going to meet next month and speak about the Puckett contract. So, you know, we want to put out an RFP. I'm going to do it a little different way, Terry.
Maybe the question is, you know, about that building, our own building, that us taxpayers should be liable to.
Well, that space, when we, and I've stated this before, these commissioners, especially Chester, would know because he's been here the longest, but in 2014, when we got earlier in here, candidly, we would have paid them $5,000 or $10,000 a month to be here. We had that type of need. And they facilitated Puckett's coming with them. That was their preferred EMS carrier, so to speak. So I know they assist them in the emergency room. They do a lot of things that other than, and they build privacy. If you've got insurance, Puckett's going to charge those people's insurance. And I know all that. But let me say this about Puckett. During the course of the year, because we still live in Appalachia and we still have folks that struggle deeply. 4 or 5 times a year, those people come in my office and they've got a bill and they're shaking on the verge of tears and some of them in tears. Anytime I've ever called Puckett and I say I need some help with this, they've locked it clean. And I'm not saying they're going to do that with everybody, but I'm saying the people I've called, and that's the 4 or 5 times a year, they zero their account out. Now, I'm working with good people there, and good change, but what's the Puckett guy? Joe Dunn. Joe Dunn speaks to the committee. He's at every meeting giving a report. We like that transparency, and Sheriff, you got anything to say about Puckett?
Yeah, I was just going to say the relationship that we have with them at the sheriff's office is just awesome. Joe Dunn, speaking of Joe, so he's now the vice president of something for this, at least this area, and he's constantly calling me and asking, hey, can we bring you guys some gloves? Can we, how are you on these supplies? Can we get this for you? He helps us get tremendous discounts on things like AEDs, which we're going to buy several of them, actually, really soon.
And they give them several away to the senior citizens and the schools. They supply those at no cost.
Just so everybody understands, I'm not saying kick Puckett to the curb. Right. I'm saying maybe
We need to take a look at it.
maybe we need to take a look. Are they making a profit and we're still giving them $200,000 a year and they're getting a free space?
Well, they're a
They say
for-profit
they-
company.
I'm sorry?
They're a for-profit company. They're not a non-profit.
No, they say they-
How many calls would you estimate that they respond to in Sequatchie County on a daily, weekly, annual basis?
Sheriff, you might know, but he gives a report. He tells how many he gave in the last 30 days. Linda, do you remember? It's
I don't remember.
staggering.
Can we reframe this as this question? Is there any other county in the state that you're aware of, or any other political entity that pays the emergency services provider to provide service? Or is there some other revenue stream that they all depend on, and this is the only county in Tennessee that pays $200,000 a year to get an ambulance to the door? Which is it?
Yeah, we're most every, I only know of one county that don't pay anything. That's Mena.
Okay.
And I started on that earlier. But every other county pays, either they have their own through the county, and they can't do it as efficient as private contract. We're one of the cheaper, if you compare us to Marion County, if you compare us to Dade, which we're more Trenton, Georgia, we're more their size, that sort of thing. But we pay less than they do.
Follow-on question, we were getting paid $1 a year for the EMS, for the emergency management services. ER. And now we're looking at collecting somewhere around $150,000, $200,000. So is there any chance things have progressed on the EMS front in a similar fashion? Does this need to be relooked at? Or do you think $200,000 a year is a deal? Don't lift that rock.
Well, wanted a little more, we had a little better offer on the table, but now, listen, people spoke, and we had several of us had a little different approach, but that's okay, we'll work with it. But it's, and also in that deal, the 200,000 we're speaking of, we were responsible for the grounds, the parking lots, the striping, all those things.
Yeah, no, the 200 I'm referring to is Puckett. We're paying Puckett 200,000.
250.
We were only collecting $1 a year for the emergency services. Now we're going to get paid like maybe 200,000. The numbers happen to be too similar. Is it possible that instead of 200,000 a year, we could pay them 100,000 a year? I mean, is there room to negotiate at this point because situations have changed?
We can, I mean, we can explore that. That's what it is.
That's kind of, he's hitting on kind of what I'm looking at. In Erlanger, I understand 10 years ago, we were very rural, begging for an emergency. Now we've grown to the point that there's enough business at the emergency room. We've got 2 different hospitals that was trying to get paying us money now. Well, Puckett is the one bringing most of their clientele, so surely their business has increased.
So I mean, if I understand the issue, it's basically they are for profit. They don't pay rent. Okay, as far as I know, they're in that building for free.
In kind, it's the term.
In kind, okay, but they're not paying rent. Okay. We pay, the county pays $215,000. We also pay for transportation of prisoners, if I'm not mistaken. I think we pay Puckett every time they transport a prisoner. I believe that's true. But anyway, I think what they're saying is, 10 years ago, there may have been a different situation, and we already relooked the hospital. Why don't we relook at the ambulance service? Is what I think. Is that what I'm hearing?
At least have a conversation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think you ought to build around buildings, supply their own house, I don't know, as long as they're being kids.
We acquired 4 acres of property in the past year. It's got a house on it. I showed that budget living and had this conversation, but no money was talked about because we didn't know Park Ridge got the bid or later if they wanted to move out. We had to station Puckett somewhere. So it's a 3-bedroom older house, but it's like a little dollhouse. 2 showers updated. That works fine for them. This is coming from Joe Dunn. They're great partners again. Can they park their ambulance outside in Dunlap, Tennessee with the weather and that sort of thing? Absolutely, yes.
No,
It's not like they've got a
This is
plan.
$400,000 a year over there.
Yeah, the 4 acres in that house, right across from all.
So there are many options available. The question is this the time to start exploring whether the economic deal we had before should govern now?
Sure, Puckett's contract is up. So we have the option in that contract to go year to year, just like we did. There's, again, and Linda brought this up to me several weeks ago, maybe we need to take a look at this, and Ed, you brought up a very good point. It's that time of year, so it's kind of got by me. I've been working on the budget since the earlier thing, so I'm a little behind, and my nose, so to speak. But we'll take that up. Good point.
Could I suggest before you have every patient at Puckett ever save their life on your doorstep going, yay, Puckett, that this question come up in a non-heated, gentle fashion. Is it time to look at the contract and see if amendments and revisions might be appropriate? What do we all think, community? And save yourself the grief of another really vicious bloodbath. As we talked about, public involvement early and often will maybe save you a lot of grief. And I'll stop there.
Good point. Yes.
That's on the committee can look at it.
The Emergency Services Committee certainly
We'll
would
look at the
take
options
this
on
on.
that. But if
Or
they're
the
not-
budget, one or the other. I don't know, or publish it.
I think it's really be beneficial to us to at least get them out of that emergency room, because the way I understand it, Erlanger would pay another $15 a square foot for that 4,000 square feet they're in. That's more revenue for the county.
Well, the contract actually, what they're presenting, what they are presenting is that doing a land lease. So they actually retain temporary ownership of the property, and that's how their structure is. I don't think the county's going to want to do that. So, and two, if they have that land lease, the building lease, I should say, they have that. The land lease piece, they would pay us the market for just the land lease. It's not 155 or 56,000, it's more like 20,000. So and it gets kind of deep in the woods, but I don't think Erlanger does not have the money to improve that facility without borrowing money or whatever, or having the county borrow it. That was just something we didn't want to do going forward, and they've got an out. Now it's a 6-year out, but they had a 180-day out in all the other contracts before we RFP. So that's a sticking point, has been for the commission over the past year and a half or so. We've wanted to get out from under that going forward. We've learned some lessons going through this. Puckett may be a new further ground to explore ahead, as you suggested, and Terry as well.
So when it comes to their contract, they propose a contract. Who's going to be the one that pins the contract with the county? You and our county attorney?
Well, I sign all contracts. The county executive, I just
They're talking about who's going to make this contract, who's going to make the body of this contract.
If we RFP it, the county attorney is in on every aspect of contractual negotiations. We actually hired a consultant to help with that Erlanger and RFP and the Park Ridge RFP. Somebody's named them Parklanger. We're just going to read them Parklanger. I don't know how that would work, but maybe they could. And there's scuttlebutt, and I don't know if you guys have heard, but we've heard that Erlanger's for sale. They no longer, they declare non-profit. They're out from under the Hospital Authority of Hamilton County. They did that over a year ago for a reason. I don't know why, it's just speculation. But I wouldn't be surprised if it may be Parklanger one of these days, you know. Park Ridge or HCA, 62 million in cash, no debt. They're not a Fortune 500 company, a Fortune 50 company. So, deep pockets. So, but we, good point about Puckett. We think they're a splendid company, and a lot of folks love them. The commissioners are very comfortable with them because of the transparency and the engaging way they have.
Well, again, just keep in mind, I'm not saying kick them to the curb. You know, the good book says you have not because you ask not.
That's exactly
right. The start of the negotiation, you got any room to sharpen your pencil? Ask the question. What can you do before we get, the community involved? What can you do to make me look good in front of the community? Can you sharpen your pencil? Start with the question.
Ms. Gould?
That's all I was asking about.
Well, I have a question, and that is that when I go to these commission meetings and other things that I've attended, I am an ill-informed audience member. Our commissioners get a packet several days before a commission meeting. Oftentimes, at a commission meeting, they're told that something's changed about what they've got in that packet. I have not been yet to a commission meeting where a 5-day rule hasn't been waived about something. And I'm just looking for a little more transparency. And in that vein, would it be possible to take things like that 60-page working document and put it on the county website? Have working committee pages so that the public can be informed as the process is going along. Because, I know you keep saying we're a republic, but Lydia and I definitely do not agree on everything. And so there might be an opportunity where I say to Linda, look, this is how I think this should go. And she says, well, I don't think so. I think that most of the community doesn't agree with you. And I have to say, well, that's fine, but I still want to be heard. So I wonder, could the county create a situation, and by the way, I'm volunteering to help you. I'm not asking you to do this on your own. I think my husband would help too. Work in a calendar to figure out when is the 10 days before the create a situation where this stuff was available to the public on a regular basis? Would you be interested in something like that?
Well, certainly, I mean, you're as engaged with the county as you want to be. I've got people that come by every day that are not elected that want to be somewhat engaged. When it comes down to, and respectful of you and others, a lot of times they come up with ideas and different things, and they go for a while, they burn out pretty quickly because nobody else wants to follow that lead. And I don't think, we've not even engaged in anything, but I'm from experience. I've got a lot of people that know a new broom sweeps clean, so to speak, and I find that a lot. So this is, I wouldn't call it a marathon, but it's a process. But listen, Ms. Good, and I know you were at our retreat and enjoyed speaking with you. You've got a lot of fresh, good ideas. And I didn't know you were married to this fellow.
He did live, by the way.
Oh, I know.
I did not agree with it. But for instance, that 60-page document, could it be put on the internet?
Well, I wouldn't know why not. I'm not an internet type guy.
But you have an IT guy who works for the county in some capacity.
Absolutely.
And what
And
he
we've got a
said,
part-time college girl that does as well, so.
well, as soon as the smart people set up the website or the web page, then it's easy for somebody like me or Linda or whoever, you want to do this, to upload the documents. That's not hard. The hard part that I don't know how to do is, how do you set up the list and the page or whatever. So if you would agree that that was a good idea, then, and want help, we are happy to help you.
Well, I know a lot of commissioners put things in their packet out there. I've kind of left that up too. And that's not my call, but I've not told someone you can't do, that's really not my style. Each of those elected officials, I'm not the boss of them, more likely the other way around. But anyway, my job is to implement what they pass and vote on. I do put the package together as chairman. It's a big job. You wouldn't want that job.
Well, I've said jobs like that, but I don't want this here. But I would be happy to, no. So in the scenario that you're talking about, 9 people have to have the web space and the wherewithal to put this up. What I'm talking about is one person puts this up, it's one concise location. We can make sure that it's very clear, this is a working document, this is where we're at, we're going to have more meetings, but we'll take any input from the public at this point that you'd like to give us.
Well, if you come to all the committee meetings and that sort of thing, there's a lot of talk and, here's what I see, here's what others see. I mean,
that's what it means.
To me, it's nothing like being in color. If I read something on the internet or on a website, I don't really capture the spirit or the inflection of some of the message going out. So that's my point.
Well, maybe when we're talking about a budget, inflection is not advisable.
When you have those discussions, you've looked at that 60-page document. I think it's only fair that the public who's affected by it and wants to speak to it, have the opportunity to be equally informed. Because otherwise, what you're getting is a lot of ignorant commentary. So that's what I keep trying to stress, that that's exactly the document right now that needs to be out there. If the public is to have any hope of giving meaningful input.
We keep talking about the 60-page document.
The budget.
Oh, the budget.
Right.
So I think there's a couple counties that, I think what you're talking about is, they have the minutes, they have committee meeting minutes on there, so people know what's going on. If they can't make a meeting or whatever, the working documents, the drafts are up there.
The resolutions.
The resolutions are up there, things like, Resolution 802, for example, there's probably a lot of citizens don't know about that.
Yeah, I can tell you from Florida, past laws, the sunshine laws? Because of this, certain states are really poor at transparency, not because they don't want to, it's just they don't have the time or they don't have the person to do it, and that lack of time or the lack of resources ends up being, well, you're doing it because, and it creates the conspiracy theories. So Florida said enough of this bullshit, and they said, everybody in Florida, a county commissioner, the county attorney, unless it's protected by some type of NDA, has to put all of their documentation on the website. And if they don't, they can't talk about it until they do. That's Florida. It's not abnormal for her to be asking for this. It's just get somebody in your department who knows how to do the internet together with her and you resolve it like that. And then get the county commissioners to start, making sure that they're working with that person who works with her and getting it started just to keep up with it. Transparency.
Good examples. Recent example was when Tommy put that grants tab on the county website, and we put the opioid application, the whole process, all the rules, all the templates. There was if they had questions, they could ask them on there was a tab there, but it was transparent. All the information was there, all the templates were there, the timelines, the deadlines, all the reporting, it was all there. So that's just for that particular example, but what they're talking about is, I can't remember which one. I mean, there's several counties that already do this, but the minutes are up there so people know what's going on, draft documents, when's the next meeting, like stuff like this, like the budget schedule, the working schedule. It's up there. So people even know about this. Not everybody reads the Tribune. But this is a lot of people are on the internet. They don't want to read the newspaper, but I think, as our population grows and people come from outside they use the phone, they use, their laptops, iPads, whatever, they're more adept at going to, a website than they are to a newspaper.
Well, you can't put 60-page document in a newspaper.
No.
Financially not. Yeah.
And you don't have to spend $45 a year to do it.
A good IT guy, I would say, it would take him 30 minutes to fix that. It wouldn't be.
Well, our budget is on the website. The drafts of that particular budget are not. We've never done that, but, that's something that,
You're saying the finished document, the final, voted on budget.
the approved budget.
Yeah, that seems completely obvious that would be on there. What doesn't seem so obvious is that for a lot of people, the stages that go up to the finished budget would be interesting too. To be able to see and not have to chase for it. Yeah.
Any other questions?
At the risk of being rude to our guests, if there's going to be 300 new houses south of Cherry, how are those folks going to get through the stoplight?
Daryl, I brought you the reason.
They're all going back towards me.
Where is this?
Because it's really wide everywhere but downtown, so you could widen out all in front of Airliner and all the rest, but it gets down to downtown and suddenly I don't see how you widen that or route anyone around it. Is that anyone's radar?
Yes. Daryl, give me a little breather here.
Take it away.
We're counting on people running a lot of different directions.
Even
That's the airport. That's the airport, got it.
Keith, they even put
Talking about when we said that.
a bypass around Pike. We need a bypass here.
I'll figure it out.
So did you want to give us a little presentation on what you're up to? Is that why you're here? Or?
No, I called Mr. Cartwright earlier. He said that he was coming up here and speaking about some growth items. And I was asked if I could kind of piggyback on and kind of see. He's spoken some about how, just looking at, some changes up here and what he was hearing some people wanted. So I really just came along to kind of to hear and,
You put in custom homes, spec homes, both?
I'm doing two developments. One's townhomes, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, getting affordable housing. I'm also doing the Dunlap Air Park, which will be custom, custom homes.
How are you?
Dunlap Airport, which one are you referring to? Are you referring to the flying park? That's not the Dunlap one. What are you talking
The
about?
southern one, yes.
With the guy from Crestview, Florida, or,
No, so Craig Fuller was the one that was going to do the fields
Right.
on the other side of town. That project's been abandoned, from my understanding.
Been abandoned, is that what you said?
That's what I've been told, yeah. I heard deposits were going back. Yeah,
oh, really?
But my price point's a good bit different. It's not as big, environmentally, so it was more of a
How
doable.
long ago did you hear that? So you're talking the last couple of
For 3
weeks?
or 4 weeks.
Okay, because about 3 weeks ago, I was in his office, and he said just the opposite.
So Craig,
I wasn't convinced.
Craig's, yeah, so I was told from somebody that put a deposit for me that they would get theirs back.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I have not seen an official release, like that's why I said it was rumor.
That's,
Our price point's about, a quarter of.
so what's
what it
this
is.
Dunlap Airport? Is there a Dunlap Airport already? That I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's a Galloway Airport that's been there for 20 plus years, grass runway. So we're gonna be building around it.
Okay. And who's the guy behind that?
Me.
That's you.
And what is the proportion of the townhomes versus the custom homes?
The 181 townhomes is behind those, between the soccer fields. That's gonna be on sewer. So that's been going through engineering commission for 3.5 years. We're gonna be getting soon on it. The Dunlap Air Park's 150 homes roughly, over 160 acres. Those will be on septic lots.
Keith, have we got water?
Isn't that a flood zone?
Utilities to support that?
Some, but it's not gonna affect my
City
face.
of Dunlap does, but that's gonna be an issue going forward. He'll about tap out what we currently have. He's gotten approved by the city of Dunlap already for this plat that he's presented through the city of Dunlap. He's been approved, engineered, it's all been approved. There's going to be some traffic issues going forward, we know that, the city of Dunlap. This one project with the townhomes is all in the city of Dunlap. Of course, we will I don't know the capital investment that you're making in our county and city, but it's got to be over $100 million.
Close.
Close.
So is the runway going away then? The grass runway will no longer be there, right?
It'll eventually be concrete.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Keep the runway concrete?
Right, yeah. It's gonna be hangar homes, so it's gonna be attractive.
Barrow's put his own concrete company on his land. SRM's wasn't able to give you the right price, so he goes down to Florida. And I was involved in this discussion. Bought out your own plant down there and moved it up, and you've got an operation running now. So, he can do that cheaper than buying from SRM on the number of homes he's building.
Yeah, not only be there temporarily, but right.
How long do you foresee this project taking?
3 years.
So in 3 years, we're gonna be tapped out with the water.
In the city of Dunlap.
Not water.
Sewer.
Sewer is the
So
problem.
in the sewer only on that West Valley Road. So they have, that's one of their smaller lines, it was a 4-inch water line that they converted over to a sewer years ago, but only on that one radial tap. Not as a plant.
Gotcha.
So the distribution.
So did I hear this right? You're putting in about 150 hangar homes? Or some of them are hangars? Or all of them?
Yes.
All of them? That's a big one. And they're about an acre each or a lot?
26.5 average.
About half acre one.
Yes, sir.
Or
Some will be directly parallel with the runway, so they'll come right out the back of their own runway to the, then some will have taxiways around the house.
You're not from Florida, are you?
No. I lived in Florida for a while. I don't think Greg's in Florida.
No. But I talked to somebody who was a developer in Florida, that was telling me that he was involved in that
I
project.
say anything.
Am I talking about somebody else?
I'm not sure. I was talking about mine trying to do sewer before, because it was about the same time Dallas Airport closed down Dallas Bay. But enough talk about it, got other people, that's a good idea, and that's where the bit much harder, so I'm gonna sit back for a few years to see how that goes.
So I think everybody's probably hungry by now. I'd like to thank our guests, Mr. Cartwright and Mr. Jones. I think it's been a good interaction. What we try to do is have a discussion here. Nobody's throwing axes or anything up here. I think, everybody's aware of the growth, not just in the county, but up here in the mountain. And we're concerned about infrastructure. And I think, certainly the commissioners, we work with our community, but certainly the commissioners would like to sit down and move these things along.
These town hall meetings are so vital and important to this community. I was expecting maybe 40 or 50 out there, and I guess you've had that. I must not be the draw.
I think
They heard I was coming.
Might be a little burned out.
Last week was early. So I just have a couple closing points to kill the rumor of the landfill. The next meeting is Thursday, May 22nd, 6 p.m., same place here. Mr. Condor, the county assessor, will be here. What's important about this meeting is, I think most of you know, we're in a 6-year cycle for reassessment. Next year is a 3-year mark where we'll do a current value update. People need to understand what that is and how it's going to potentially impact, not potentially, impact our property values and how that's connected to taxes, property taxes. So that'll be an important meeting. He'll explain, we don't need to spread the rumor that taxes are going to increase. This meeting is about what that cycle is, what he expects, because we know Tennessee's still growing, and certainly our property values are growing up here. So our residents need to understand what the timing of that cycle is, what the impact of that current value update is, and then what that means. Not just the property values, but then what the impact will be for taxes. So we're going to talk about that next meeting, May 22nd. County Commission meeting is the Monday before that, May 19th, at the courthouse, 6 p.m., I believe. Yeah.
Say that again.
May 19th,
Yes.
6 p.m. That'll be advertised. Sometimes at 6:30, sometimes at 6. All right, the Budget Committee meeting, I'll post this schedule that we talked about this evening. So if y'all want to participate in that, that's all I have.
So quickly, if I heard right, like starting in May, the assessor is going to be establishing their estimates of value increase.
They actually are from the state. Our assessor will get a number in July.
At the onset of what's expected to be a dark
2026
recession.
fiscal year. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's all right. I mean, I'd rather be explaining it. I mean, I look forward to hearing it. Thank you.